Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's Ed Mariziak from East Toronto Living. I'm the man in the chair, and in this week's video, we're going to do a deep dive into yet another Blog TO article. And this article is titled Everything You Need to Know About Property Value in Ontario Before You Buy. So, if you want to learn more about property values, how to actually do it yourself using MPAC techniques and standards, stay tuned. Hey friends, if you can all do me a favor, if you're getting value from this content, don't forget to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm and leave me a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. Wow, boy, did we ever see a jump in subscribers in the last couple of weeks. I mean, the channel has just exploded, and I thank you all. All my subscribers, you mean the world to me, and I really do appreciate you. So keep liking and smashing that like button and leave comments. Also, if you have any questions about real estate, don't forget, here's my contact information. If you want to jump out and see some properties, especially some of the ones that we've been featuring, a lot of them are still for sale. I mean, I'll bet you if you go back through all my videos, all of them, half of them are still for sale. So you definitely contact me. We could book a Zoom meeting because I got to ask you a few questions before we go out and look at property, and because, owners want to know, who's coming to see their property and so forth. It's only fair. Or if you got any questions about real estate in general, you can contact me and we can talk. We can have a Zoom meeting if you're from out of town. And hey, let's talk about your real estate needs. Okay, so this article is from Blog TO. It's probably my number one source of real estate news. And I like them because, they're pretty accurate. They take sources from Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, which is the board I belong to. And for the most part, they're pretty good. They're a little bit sensationalized, but, I got to tone it all down too, because, a lot of this stuff is, let's face it. Some of these articles are very over sensationalized, for reasons that it just attracts, it sells more articles. Let's be fair. Okay. So again, this article is titled Everything You Need to Know About Property Value in Ontario Before You Buy. So, it's for the most part, your first home is your most significant purchase in your life. And you may buy one in your life, you may buy a couple throughout your, most people buy their starter home, and then then there's their forever home, and then the forever home becomes to the point where they can't manage it anymore. And then that's when you either downsize to maybe a condominium, or some people go to a bungalow, or they just move straight into, assisted living. So we're usually looking, within most people's lives, you're looking about 3 home purchases in your life. But a lot of folks want to know what their home is worth. And what this article talks about is the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, MPAC. Now, they're a nonprofit organization, and they basically assess home value so that the municipality can accurately tax it, because how they gauge the taxation is based on the value of the property. So, and it's the impact evaluation versus, say, real estate selling evaluation is different, because that's not the market value. What impact is more the bank appraisal value. So that's typically what banks go with, because in the event of, if something horribly goes wrong, if you're delinquent in your payments and they have to take your home and sell it, they have a lower value to base their evaluations on impact because it's a lower number, so that they don't overestimate in case they have to sell their property. They make certain that they have plenty of funds coming out of the properties. Usually the impact is about 10%, even sometimes I've seen 20% lower than the actual market value. So when the bank goes to sell it, they get a little bit more, so they recoup all their losses, and whatever's left over, you would get that. But and what I've seen lately is there's been a lot of powers of sale happening. We don't have foreclosures here in Canada. They are what are called power of sale, and what a power of sale is basically the bank takes over the sale of the property. But they've been pretty fair in the past. I mean, if you're delinquent with a few months, they'll sell the property. They'll give whatever. They'll pay out all the expenses. Like your delinquent payments. There might be some legal fees that gets paid out. Whatever's left over, you get. So they're not going to rip you right off completely. They will. You probably. I'm sure it's no fun to go through this process, but they are these days. They've been very fair. The government of Canada has really cracked down on banks being. Because back in the day, they were just taking houses left, right, and center and screwing sellers, and then that had to stop. And there's been a lot of restrictions that the government has done in the last 30, 40 years. But anyway, continuing on, there's one question that this article poses. And it's, what's the difference between assessed value and market value? Well, I went over it, but I can go over it quickly again. Assessed value is what impact, figures your home is worth, and that's kind of like the bank assessment. And market value is, what the home is going to sell for, and it's usually more. Again, we've talked about that to some degree, so we're not going to go into more detail about that. We just did, but. What you can do. The other question here is what's influencing your property assessed value? So that's a good question here. So in this article, it says there's 200 factors that are considered when they're assessing a property. But the big five, the main things, and this is when I go and assess a property for sale. And we look at what the same things, what impact does. You're basically looking at the location of the property, the lot size, the square footage, the building's age. We adjust for renovations. The construction quality. Whether there's good schools in the area. With the area itself. These are the main things that we look at when we try to appraise the value of the property, and impact does the same thing. How do improvements impact property value? Well, that will obviously improve the property value for sure. If you do some landscaping, if your backyard looks terrible, and you spend significant monies on landscaping and make it look beautiful. Think of the buyers. Put yourself in the buyer's shoes. You're looking at a property that has garbage in the back, and its trees are overgrown, and everything looks terrible, and probably, who knows, there might be some rodents living in the backyard. Whereas if you have a nice manicured, looked after backyard that the previous buyer maintained very well, that's one less expense that you don't have to spend. And that also this article goes on and uses another example, which is a very good one. Say the seller spent significant monies in finishing the basement, adding plumbing and electrical. These things cost a significant amount of money. These are all things that you don't have to do. You don't have to reach into your pants and cut more checks to improve your property. And these things increase the value. Also, it goes on to maybe in the installation of an in-ground pool or building a new garage will also increase. And actually, I don't agree with that. For me, a pool is a liability. Let's call for what it is here. Let's be honest. I'm looking for a property for myself. I do not want a swimming pool. In fact, when I look at properties, I say, oh, nice property. Oh, nice. Swimming pool. Next. I don't want to look after one. But obviously people do want to have a swimming pool. I mean, personally, I like to swim in other people's pools. I get invites. My family and I get invited to a lot of swimming pool parties, and I'd rather just swim in their pools. But I mean, if you have a pool too, I guess to me, it doesn't raise the value, it doesn't lower the value. So, I mean, that's kind of that's a contentious sort of. It continues that you can also assess yourself through MPAC. Now they leave a resource here, and I'm gonna leave a link here in the on the screen here. If you go to MPAC About My Property, they have tools on how you can evaluate yourself. I mean, they will give you access to property values. I believe it taps into the MLS, and you're allowed, I think the last report, you're allowed to look at 12 comparables. They give you up to 12 for you to make an assessment. Because sometimes what happens is MPAC will evaluate your property and you don't agree with it. I mean, I've done this because they've evaluated my property, but they've evaluated it as though it was the same lot size as all the other properties on my street. I have a significantly smaller lot than the rest of the properties on my street. And for that, I was paying the same tax as all the other houses were. So we fought it and we won. And we won it every. And then they stopped evaluating it at that price. They stuck to our evaluation. So we fought them for years and won every time. So, and you could do the same by going to MPAC About My Property, and they'll give you tools. They'll give you a little tutorial on how to evaluate your property. And there's a video, if I'm not mistaken, and you can check this out and you can do that yourself. And lastly, why does this matter is the question that this article asks, and whether you own your home. Are you're considering buying? Because this, again, it's a very significant investment in your life. Like I say, you're going to make a couple of these throughout your life. Sometimes some people only do one and done. If you're lucky to be like that, that's fantastic. But at least this way, you're going to know what your property is going to be worth somewhat. And also you'll have some idea when you want to go to put it up for sale. Don't forget, the bank and the MPAC assessment is going to be lower than what real estate market value is going to be. So these things are always different, and the main reason is what I mentioned before. And I hope that was helpful. I'm going to do more stuff like this. If this kind of content is useful for you, leave a comment. Let me know if you want more, if you want to learn more about stuff like this, and I'll try to dig up some more useful hints on how you can, evaluate your property, or how you could improve your property, or maybe what questions you might want to ask real estate agents. Because, most people, what I've been noticing is most people want to know about what the market has been doing lately. And I've been doing a lot of reporting on that because the demand has been very high, quite frankly. Everybody has been asking me, and some have been challenging me on what the market is going to do. But that's fine. I don't mind a challenge. I respond to almost all my comments, especially if someone doesn't agree with what my findings are, and I don't mind. I have numbers and research to back all that up, and I love it when people challenge me. Also, it helps the YouTube algorithm too, so I don't care. I like it. Well, actually, I do care. I love it. Okay, my friends, that's it for this week. I hope that was helpful. Don't forget, like, subscribe. Subscribe if you haven't already. Means the world to me. And smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm and leave comments and share the video. And also, if you got any real estate questions, you want to jump in the car and see some real estate, especially some of the properties we've been featuring, I'd be more than happy to help you out. Or if you got any questions, or we could do a Zoom meeting. That's my YouTube. That's my number. And hey, thanks. Thank you so much, friends. Thank you. Don't forget, every Thursday, 5 o'clock, we can put out a new video. So once again, have a great week. Bye for now.